Joe, have you ever heard of a bicycle?
What kind of contraption you talking about?
You know the one with 2 wheels, handlebars,
Oh, that's right.
seat optional.
Seat optional. Put the ball card. You ever put the ball card in the spokes to make a...
No, because I wasn't from an 80s movie. No, I've never seen anyone do that.
I saw it in a
Really?
movie and then did it
In
myself.
real
But
life.
the card like just came out and then I don't think I ever did it again.
And it was like a Brett Favre rookie car.
Yeah,
Stick it right in
autographed.
the spokes. Anyway, there's
I'll
always...
tell you what you can stick in the spokes.
Hey now.
You're an all-star.
Get your game on. There's always fun stories about bikes, you know?
Yeah.
Like my brother once wiped out on a swath of gravel in the middle of a busy street in our hometown and broke his collarbone and was knocked unconscious.
It's a violent thing to wipe out on a bike.
It is. I went to school with someone who went over the handlebars, broke both wrists. Had to walk
Jesus
around
God.
with...
What, hold on to the handlebars?
No, it's like bracing yourself as you go
'cause
over.
He flew out. Oh,
Right.
Jesus.
Right.
Violent.
It is violent. And another time, I was with my same brother, the same one of the crash earlier. We were racing down the hill in front of our house on our bikes with the neighbor kid, whose name shall remain nameless.
Let's call him.
Who shall remain nameless?
Let's
rather.
call him Brady.
Sure, Brady. Brady D. Why not?
Sure.
Anyway, we're racing down, and this is like pretty illustrative of our different personalities because my brother and I, both heavier than Brady, were ahead of in the race towards
Sure.
the end, but we started applying the brakes.
How steep was this grade?
Um,
Did it feel
I don't know.
like dangerously steep?
It's a pretty big hill. It's not
Okay.
that long, but it's like steep.
okay.
You know. And so we were getting towards the bottom, and my brother and I were applying the brakes, and Brady was behind, but he was not behind for long because he did not apply the brakes, and he went zooming by us, so he probably technically won the race. But then he ended up halfway up a tree that was at the bottom of the hill, and he had to peel himself out of there. But that's just one of the stories of him being a daredevil with bikes involved or not.
Win at all costs, baby.
That's right.
If I have to go through this tree, I will. I'm winning this race.
You got any good bike stories, Joe?
Yeah, I remember the guy who ended up being the best man at my wedding. One of my best friends that I grew up with, Andrew. He had a bicycle built for two. He had twin Schwinn. So you'd have 2 seats, and then each person would pedal, and it was sort of this elongated bike. I don't have any really like specific stories with that, but a lot of fond memories of hopping on that son of a bitch and riding around town and stuff. I feel like some people were trying to take that off like a ramp and stuff and do jumps on it. And I definitely know that people would try to ride it solo. So you could easily ride the bicycle built for two in the front seat, like no problem at all. But if you tried the back seat, that was like the real challenge.
You couldn't steer, right?
Because you couldn't steer. So as far as I understand, Andrew was like the only one who could do it because he'd reach way over and like be wobbling down the hill, but just in an effort to do it. So yeah, like you said, fond childhood memories on bikes, and we hope to create some fond memories today as we go on our own bicycle built for two ride, wobbling down a steep grade of a hill, potentially going to end in violence. So you better hit the brakes, Brady D, because the Cold Cans boys are drinking a new Belgian Fat Tire. Cheers, good buddy.
Cheers.
How's that first drink?
I like it. This is a beer that I like and have had many times. How about you?
I like it a lot, yeah. I have not gone to Fat Tire very often. I don't know why. I don't know. It was like it was definitely available ever since I started drinking beer. I think it was just intimidating. Just kind of seemed like one of the craft beers so then I stayed away from it. But because I was intimidated and exposed by it at a young age, when I grew into being able to drink complicated craft beers, then I was like, oh, Fat Tire? That's fucking lame. I've seen that my whole life. Why would I ever pick that up?
It was one of the original craft beers, and it's around since 91, I think.
Yeah. It was it? Oh, yeah, it was opened in 1991.
Yeah.
Your birthday.
My day of birth.
Something else was opened in 1991.
Oh, boy. And that was a C-section, baby.
We're
So
gonna
it's
have
not
to,
quite as...
oh, God, we're going to have to edit that We say a lot of the show. We're gonna have to edit that out. I really genuinely think we'll have to have a conversation whether or not we want to edit that out. I
we'll
apologize.
see. We'll see.
Anyway, so 1991, it hasn't been around for hundreds and hundreds of years or anything, but as we've talked about the last couple of weeks, the craft beer movement kind of started in the 70s and 80s, it seems like, and this fits that mold really well.
Yeah, and it's taking after styles that have been around for hundreds of years.
Yeah,
like,
of course.
This one especially, the Belgian style ale. And what this has turned into, it's like distributed in all 50 states now. Crazy stuff like that. Like they're $200 million worth of sales every year.
Yeah.
The fact that it grew that much in 2.5 decades is remarkable.
Yeah, it's insane, and it's growing like you're talking about, and still 100% employee owned. So they haven't sold out to any of the big wigs yet. And yeah, it's barreling.
Like Fleet Farm, right?
Fleet
We're
Farm.
employee owned.
No, that's Woodman's.
Oh, Woodman's. Yeah, you're right. Woodman's.
I can't think of the guy's name. Something
It's like
Phil
John
Woodman.
Woodman.
Phil Woodman.
Phil Woodman. Okay.
I'm Phil Woodman, and we're employee owned. $2.95 for a sack of flour. What the fuck is going on? That was his commercials.
We'll pay you to take this pallet full of water.
That's him. That's his East Coast brother.
Yeah. Well, he had Phil Woodman would have his son on air too, who would be on. And I'm John Woodman. Have you ever seen an avocado before? The commercial would end.
But yes, employee owned New Belgian brewery.
Yeah, so it produced in 2016 it says it produced just under 1 million barrels of beers. So across 50 states, it's ubiquitous for sure.
Mm-hmm. And even gone international now. It looks like it's in Sweden, distributed in Sweden. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is cool.
I've actually been to this brewery a couple times. It's in Fort Collins, Colorado.
What brought you to that a couple of times?
So the first time was when I was traveling the country. I was a vagabond.
A real
right after I was leaving Wisconsin to come out here.
Renaissance man.
Sure. Yeah. I was painting and writing and singing.
Journaling.
To pay my fare and journaling, yes.
Yeah.
And I went there with my buddy Kyle. We went to Denver, and then Fort Collins is just about an hour north of Denver, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And this brewery's there. It's also Colorado State is there, but this brewery is probably the main attraction. It's like kind of on the outskirts of town, but very bikeable to the main stretch. And it's an enormous building where they have the brewery that you can go on a tour. It's a tap room and tasting room.
Nice.
And they even expanded it into, between the first time and the second time I went there, they expanded it to a whole nother tasting room area. Then there's green space outside where you can, throw a ball around, throw a frizz, a little cornhole, all that stuff.
Cornhole.
Yeah.
Green space.
Green space is good. And if
that's cool.
You're in Denver, buddy, you're going to have some of that green up in your space.
In your space, yeah, cloud in your space.
Hey.
Smoking it up.
And the second time I went was actually pretty recently, like a few months ago. I went with my girlfriend.
Nice.
We spent a weekend there. It was nice.
Yeah,
Good
that's
brewery.
cool. The brewery also says it's 100% running
Employee
on
owned.
Employee owned. I've never seen a walnut.
So that's the son. He just doesn't know what foods are.
Yeah,
Anything, quote, exotic.
Yeah. The dad is yelling about deals.
Prices,
and
yeah.
about paying people to come get pallets of water. And the son is yelling about his confusion about the stock in their grocery store. I'm sure that this is how those commercials used to go.
It's ringing a bell.
But anyway, it's 100%. What is it like? It's very eco-friendly, right?
Yeah.
What did they do recently? They did
They're a lot of solar powered, I believe, and they have the LED certifications.
Right, and they
recycle their water.
Yeah, achieved LED platinum certification.
Ooh.
So it's incredibly sort of green and eco-friendly. They also you know what they're known for? Their company culture. It's a little bit twisted.
Uh-oh.
Their employees, the company employs 8 carnies who work at the brewery's Tour de Fat fundraising events, in addition to chemists, microbiologists, electricians, operators, and engineers. Low turnover, and it has been named the most audacious companies, the best companies to work at. 2008, it was named the best company to work at in America. So, it's a cool culture that their employees feel sort of satisfied.
Yeah,
we've heard
it's a
that
career for them. It's
Yeah.
not just some piss-on job.
Yeah, and we've heard that with brewers that obviously we've talked to, but then we talked to the folks from Optimism last week. They also talked about our employees are happy like with the culture that we've created. Breweries generally seem to have like a very healthy, happy sort of way of life for the people that are working in them, which is cool.
Yeah. Do you think they attract those types, the type of people who are willing to,
Right.
like communists, basically? People who are happy with the common good. They're not like
Yeah.
cutthroat going for the top
Maybe. I mean, it's probably a combination of both. And then
and their buzz.
the cultures sort of reinforce that personality, but it sounds fucking great to me. Like that doesn't sound,
yeah.
that sounds very nice. And they're making great products.
They are.
Like it's not lackadaisical in any way. So yeah,
Yeah, not bad company perks if you're getting to take home a couple cases.
hell yeah. And
An entire pallet of beer. They pay you.
I'll pay you. I can't find any granola. And cuts out. Did you? So when you visited, did you do like the tasting room? Did they serve food and anything there? Like,
I don't
Or
believe they
is it
have
just
food.
kind of
It's
like
a place where
standard-
there's a little food truck out front.
Mm.
And then I believe when I was there, it was some sort of macaroni and cheese like specialty
Oh,
truck.
okay.
That was nice. That was the second time I went. Also, that second time, we were getting around Fort Collins on bikes, actually. It was kind of cool. We biked from our
Right.
Airbnb to the brewery and then to downtown. It was,
kind of
fitted
in
perfectly.
in the vein of how this whole thing was founded. We should talk about that. We led the show with doing 5 minutes on bike stories or whatever. We
was a
didn't even
lot.
talk about it.
Yeah.
It's fun. We're having
We went
fun.
around the block a few times with
Hey,
those
if
stories.
you will. But yeah, so the Fat Tire is kind of the iconic branding. Is there's a bike. I mean, it's called Fat Tire. There's a red bicycle on a sidewalk on the logo. Actually, New Belgium Brewing rebranded their logo to include like the Fat Tire bike in it, so
Right.
that people, when they were drinking other New Belgium beers, they would associate it with the Fat Tire brand. So they're very proud of their flagship beer, Fat Tire. And yeah, apparently the owners were biking between breweries in Europe.
Yeah.
And
I think the guy in particular, because it was a husband and wife who started it,
right,
and maybe they were both there, but they tell you about this on the tour. It's like this big romantic vision of this guy going around and like having an epiphany, like this type of atmosphere needs to come to America, and like these types
Right.
of beers, and I want to make this beer now. And I mean, I'm sure there's more factors involved in that, but the fact that that is the genesis of it, he had this like life-changing experience in Europe and came home and did it. It's pretty cool. And the
Yeah.
fact that it's grown into what it is now.
yeah, it's very cool. It's a cool story. It's a romantic story, and it's kind of different than like the people that are just kind of churning out home brewing in their garage and they find a passion. This person like toured the world and,
Right.
and discovered it, which is great.
Yeah, he's been living the dream for a while, it
Yeah.
sounds like.
That is every time I hear like the origin story of these breweries, I'm like, God, why wouldn't I just live this life?
Yeah,
It seems wonderful.
teach me.
Yeah, God damn it. So how's it going down? We're through the neck, both of us.
I like it. It's pretty light,
Yeah, it's pretty
not difficult.
It's not difficult. It's very simple. We've had a few of these. And it's what we liked so much about Session, and
Right.
this is very similar. So the flavor profile, if I could read this, it's toasty malt, gentle sweetness, flash of fresh hop bitterness. The malt and hops are perfectly balanced. I would agree with that. Certainly
Agree.
not too hoppy, but it does have some of that hop flavor in it. It's
Yeah.
good.
5.2% alcohol, 22 IBU.
This is like a
Pretty standard.
it's a perfect beer to like you finish a work day. You're not looking for anything particularly challenging. You don't want to have something mass market.
Yeah.
I guess this is distributed everywhere, but like something with some flavor. This is like a perfect beer to crack open.
Totally. And they make like up to 20-ish beers now, it sounded like.
Yeah.
And they have some of those available in their tap room. I have this vision of they had these like enormous kettles in one of the rooms and then like a bar with taps behind it.
Mm-hmm.
And when you bought the tour admittance, you got a cup and you could fill it up like 5 times or something. And a lot of their other beers are like more difficult. I think they're like go for some like a little wilder styles, if you will. Ryan
A little bit
Styles.
twisted.
A little bit twisted.
Uh-huh.
And I was reading that they're also like the top producer of sour types in the U.S.
Oh,
or something
okay.
like that. So that doesn't surprise me because they experiment a lot and then they like distribute those. They like use their distribution network to get it out to different places, which is cool.
Yeah.
Exposing the U.S. to
It-
fun new things.
a good mix of distribution and that experimentation. Because even in like the pyramid episode we did, the guy was kind of saying like we always love to do more experimentation, but we can't always get
Yeah,
to it. We
can't
have to
afford
deal
it.
with So New Belgium seems to have struck a nice balance there.
Definitely.
Good for them.
Yeah. And the fact that the brewery that, when you're saying that about, they have employees who are there for a career. Like, I remember that from the tour. Everyone was like super stoked to be there. And it was people who look like they work at a brewery,
Yeah,
which is
big
great.
beards.
Right. A lot of tattoos, you
Yeah.
know, like either really short hair or really long hair,
Sure.
that type of stuff. And so that culture,
Communists.
communists, yeah. They all ride bikes too. They never burn gasoline. Communists.
It's fucking disgusting. I would argue that anybody not driving a Ford F-150 isn't patriotic in my America.
I don't know who that is.
Yeah, this is a new character.
That's not patriotic in my America.
This is the other Woodman son.
Yeah, he comes on once in a while in these commercials. Flash from Phil to John to this guy.
I'd argue that those communist fucks driving around in their bikes.
So we were buying this beer and we looked at some potential food pairings. And
Is it that time of the show already?
it feels like we're coming on to it. We're halfway through. And we oh, that's some Foley work. You got me going. We looked and, like, because it's such a simple but like flavorful beer, there's a lot of different food pairings you can go with.
Right.
From your salad all the way to like your dessert. But we figured a good like standard cheese would do. So what we bought here is the Keebler Club and Cheddar sandwich crackers made with real cheddar cheese.
Yeah, that little block of plastic wrap around the, 8 little crackers.
8, and they're like the saltine crackers. Now these aren't the ones where the crackers themselves are cheddar
Cheddar,
flavored and orange. These are
I
club
wanted you to put
crackers.
those back. And get
you
the,
did.
the
I had them in
regulars.
my hand, and you said, "Drop it, drop it."
The cheese flavored crackers just don't do it for me. It's
No?
like too much, and it's a different flavor than the cheese inside, so it doesn't pair well, if you will.
What about
in
the
my opinion?
What about the cheese flavored crackers with peanut butter in the middle? You like
Nope.
those? No, not at all.
Which is sort of weird because I am like an advocate for the PB&J sandwich with a slice of cheddar on it.
Oh,
It's very good. Yeah. If you haven't had it before, try it.
Wow, that should be a pair tear.
We should try it. 'Cause-
Okay,
How was it? Yeah, you finish. I'm going to take
I mean
a
to
bite
cut you
here.
off. I finished the first one, and then take a drink. Oh, I mean, extremely pairable. I unlike you like the cheese crackers that are cheese flavored with the cheese in the middle, but that's only because my mom would happen to buy those once in a while. So I had them when I was a kid. I don't think I ever really had this club and cheddar version, but it goes really well. It's a nice quick snack. That sort of cheese sauce is great, and then this beer again is not trying to do too much. It's very simple and it complements it perfectly.
Yeah. You put that cracker salt side down on your tongue, and you get the salt just flow over it. It's perfect.
Yeah, hell yeah.
I liked it.
So
Here.
parable.
Nom,
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 nom.
nom.
Okay, I feel like we handled the parable and terrible better than before. We're becoming like a bit more efficient with
Yeah,
our
it's a little
eating
in
on mic.
stride. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, good.
It's
The
not-
listeners will stay tuned in then, hopefully.
Mm-hmm. Or buy worse headphones, you know? You don't need such high
Yeah.
fidelity for this podcast.
Yeah.
Do it so you can only hear the booming bass in both of our voices. You can't hear anything else.
When a new number 1 happens and I'm screaming, I want the
God.
highest quality that you
Yeah,
can
just
find.
so the community knows, I had to talk to Joe about yelling into the microphone.
I think you talked about it on the Power Hour live. in
Oh,
front
did
of
I?
People. I don't
Oh,
know.
well,
We've
now
had
you know again.
We've had the conversation a few times, so
Yeah.
it could have been anything. Well, it's either me yelling, I guess, for the new number 1, or if it's me doing like my John Woodman now, which is a new character I'm going to
Right.
bring back to this show.
What's the difference between clementines and oranges?
Move on.
That's a decent idea for a like local grocery store. Like, why not?
Yeah,
That
sure.
would get news.
Yeah, people would laugh at it and be like,
It's
what the fuck?
Tim and Eric type thing.
I mean, I seriously think that's kind of what Woodman's is going for. I feel like the
He's yelling at you a little bit.
yeah, I feel like the people that are in charge at Woodman's, like the producers of those commercials, they're like, we know, like we could tell them to be better, but this is the shtick.
Yeah, and I'm sure the guy is like that. He's got a little like Lou Holtz in him.
He does, yeah. Listeners that aren't from Wisconsin, go to YouTube and type in Woodman's commercials. You're probably going to find some.
Yeah.
They are a treat. I'm rushing right through this. This is, I got to tell you this, like waves curling up from my toes all the way up to my head. I'm getting the same vibes, same shark fin vibes as Session. Getting a little vibes here.
Oh no!
It feels simple. It's affordable. Your
Sessionable.
brother said this during the power hour. This beer is not trying to do anything else. It's just a fucking good beer. Like, it's not, there's no gimmick. It's a perfect flagship beer.
Yeah, I would agree. I do really like this beer, and I have feel somewhat of a connection to the brewery. I've been there only twice, but
That's something.
yeah,
in Colorado.
the fact that it's not anywhere near where I live, and
Right.
it is a cool place. You just feel calm when you're there,
Right.
even when it's busy, because it is such a big space. It's sort of calming. Same thing of Optimism last week. That's an enormous beer hall, and you can still kind of find your own little space in there and feel at home.
Yeah, I don't remember how exactly Troy put it from Optimism, but he was like, I want people to come in and sort of feel like they're part of this process. Like they can see how it's
part of
being
the
made,
factory.
and then you definitely appreciate the taste a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Either that, or if you're pairing your New Belgium Fat Tire with a Keebler Club and Cheddar sandwich cracker.
Find it now at Woodman's.
What are the vegetables that look like little green trees?
Oh, he doesn't know what broccoli is.
He doesn't know what broccoli is. If I started yelling, if I was a little bit drunker, John Woodman eventually is going to start yelling into the mic, and then you're going to have to watch those levels on the mixer.
Balance those levels, will equalize them.
All right, so I want to get to the mail. We've been ignoring the mailbag.
Yeah,
for
let's
a while.
open up the mailbag.
Open up the mailbag. Open up the mailbag. Open up the mailbag. Open
up the mailbag.
Open
up the mailbag.
Open up the mailbag, we're opening it up. Open up the mailbag, we're opening it up. Open up the mailbag, we're opening it up. And I'm here to say, then open up the mailbag. Okay, let's see here. So there's been a bit of a Twitter backlash.
A tete-a-tete?
Yeah.
Oh, just a backlash, not a... We weren't giving it and taking it?
Well, not backlash. It's tit for tat. But I want before we even get into that, Twitter follower at Stodiac tweeted us, "Not parable, very terrible," and a picture of Not Your Father's Mountain Ale with some M&Ms. I don't know what kind of M&Ms
Those
these
are Crispies, to which
Crispies.
I replied to this tweet.
You replied, "The only thing crispy M&Ms pair with is the bottom of the trash bin." And then Malia Drez responded, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, those are strong words." I just want to bring everybody's temperature down a bit. We have some elevated feelings going around. Pairing anything with Not Your Father's Mountain Ale is just trash.
Yeah, it's a
but
recipe for disaster.
I tend to agree with them. Oh, boy. I tend to
Three Mile Island.
I tend to agree with them about the crispy M&Ms. I think crispy M&Ms are really good.
They're trash.
Why do you hate them?
Because it's basically like empty air inside of an M&M. You're getting robbed of valuable chocolate. Have you been reading these stories about how chocolate is going to be extinct by 2050, Joe? Have you been reading about this? Have you heard this one?
By 2050, you won't be able to get a nickel for a piece of chocolate from your grandma's purse. And you know whose fault that is? It's our old friend Barry.
I had like a nickel for your grandma's. There was some
What
80s
the-
movie line. Let's move past it. Why is chocolate going extinct?
Climate change, bro.
Climate change.
Heard of it?
So we should eat all the chocolate while we can and not eat crispy M&Ms.
Right. You gotta, because you're paying the same amount for crispy M&Ms that you're paying for any other M&Ms.
So this is a value-based thing that you're talking
a little
about.
bit,
You're
but
not
I
talking
also
about
don't
flavor.
care for the taste because
Okay.
it's such a Rice Krispies don't have much flavor to them. It's not like there's no salt component of it.
Right.
If you're doing the sweet of the chocolate, you need something salty in there, like a peanut butter or a peanut, or even a pretzel. Pretzel
Okay.
M&Ms, fine by me.
Okay, I can see you feel very strong. Sit down. You feel very strongly about the subject, but I don't know. I disagree. I think they taste fine, but I agree there's an air component in there. You get a little bit of air with that sort
Yeah,
of wafer
I
metal.
don't need that. My jaw
Okay.
doesn't need a little air cushioning.
It's fine. It's something different. Just eat M&Ms every goddamn day
like
of your
it.
life. Something a little bit twisted.
That's why they make the strawberry filled now.
Oh God,
Yeah, that's the thing.
really? Have you had them?
No, I haven't.
Are they like jelly, like in a donut?
I don't know. I don't think so. I think it's like
No.
the shell. I think is strawberry.
Make it like a.
I don't know how I was
what
doing
motion. Thank God the listeners didn't have to watch that. I don't know what the fuck we're talking about. I want to move on to the other mailbag item, which is our old friend at Brooksmatic tweeted us in response to the Power Hour re-rankings. On behalf of the Tecate Syndicate, we are relieved that our beloved Mexican brew has found its proper home in the rankings. But let me be clear, the Syndicate will never forget the hate Griping Joe Glockstock launched our way. Forgiven, but not forgotten. Another thing I'll say is I griped a lot about it. I think it was because Brooks
Griping
was,
Joe.
was
It's pretty good.
yeah, well, bonkers Brooksmatic doesn't have a leg to stand on.
When I'm through with him, after I toss his ass out the ring and bring forth the WWF Championship to the home, straight to the penthouse of Barry Obama, body
Now you're
slam
just
him down the
stringing-
hill.
stringing together.
Jesse's kind of losing it.
catchphrases.
Anyway.
Nickel from your grandmother's purse. for a
Ooh,
chocolate bar.
listeners should know Nick's doing a good Jesse.
That one didn't make any sense.
No, it didn't. You won't even be able to get a nickel from your grandmother's purse.
Sorry, keep going.
I had
The
something in
mailbag.
mind, and I thought it would just come out, and then it didn't connect at all. Sometimes that happens. You got to take risks.
It's
all right?
true. It's true. That's a good lesson.
You got to just
we'll
start.
cover that someday. On
You
the
start
podcast.
walking the plank, and sometimes you got to die at the end of it.
Sometimes you hang yourself on the end of it.
Yeah, on top of just being at the end of a plank. What the fuck were we talking about?
The mailbag,
Tecate.
Brooksmatic.
Tecate. So I think Tecate, Brooks brought in those big honking 40s of Tecate,
big
which is why
honkers.
they didn't taste, the big titty honkers of Tecate, and it's why they didn't taste so great to me. But I really enjoyed our conversation with Brooks. Of course, I enjoy Brooksmatic very much. But then we had him on the re-ranks. I relented, and I said I agree, and we actually moved Tecate up, I believe.
We did up
So,
one spot or something.
yeah.
And I think it is a fine beer. I also, about his tweet, I love saying Tecate Syndicate as if it's Tecate Syndicate.
Syndicate, yeah, it's pretty good. I
I'm
like
here
that you
representing the Tecate Syndicate. That's great. Words are fun sometimes, you know?
Yeah, I've known you for long enough to know that.
To grow sick of that
Yes.
idea.
But Brooks, you could shove it up your ass because we ranked Tecate higher. So that's it. Close up the old mailbag and let's look at the beer advocate score. You got it up, Nick?
Oh, always, Joe. I'm always ready to go. This one has a 3.6 out of 5, which translates to good.
Good.
I think, yeah, it's a fine score. It's a little lower than I might have imagined. I think it
Sure.
probably falls victim to people saying like it's just such a basic beer. And most of the beers that rank highly on Beer Advocate are like some triple IPA, that type of thing. So it's not entirely
It's too
surprising.
simple. Yeah,
right.
yeah. Okay. So sessionability versus sipability. This has got a nice balance, a really nice balance.
Mm-hmm.
You could sip it, or you could drink all 6 of these. You're not going to feel terrible. You know?
Yeah. And Fat Tire on their website lists this as having 160 calories. We should analyze calorie counts more often, you know?
Ooh, yeah. It just
That's not-
included as part of our
Sure.
rankings. Sure. 160 is pretty reasonable.
Yeah,
Like,
that's not bad.
if you're approaching 200, that's a pretty heavy beer, and if you're down at like the 70 or whatever 64 range, that's the other end. But
Right.
160 fine.
Yeah, you could drink this probably in the same amount of time that you would drink like 2 Miller 64s
Yeah,
or Bud
yeah.
55.
Right.
So, you know,
And then it's horse apiece from there. So okay, so we it seems like we both really like this taste. We both the sessionability is high, the sipability is high, value's pretty good.
sentimental value even better.
Sentimental even better. The calories are fine. Where are we going with sentimental even better? You look.
Well, you said the value is good, and I said the sentimental value is even better.
yeah. I heard what you said. I didn't mistake the words that came out of your mouth. But
I
your
added something
intent-
to value.
Oh, just kind of for the sake of adding it.
Well, for my own sake, it's the sentimental value,
Yeah.
and the fact that you had just said value makes it a
Listeners
glasses
should know
lower.
Nick is now lowering his glasses and looking at me over the top of them.
And the sentimental value is just as high.
Why do bananas stay connected? You should be able to break them apart.
All right. So let's look at the
rank
rankings.
this Mo guy, huh?
So Russian Radioactive up to deplorables, up to wild card, up to cream of the crop. It's in the wild card cream of the crop territory. I don't think it's in the bottom part.
Yeah, I think
No
it's
question about
bordering that. Yeah.
Yeah. And when I'm scrolling down the rankings, I'm starting to feel warm, very warm, as I scroll down into the Session, the Rainier, the Lineo, the Sam Adams range. I'm starting to feel like that just feels like home here.
I would agree. I'm okay with that.
What was it? Of Monsters and Men once said, or as the Lumineers once said, some band that
Home. Edward Sharpe, you mean?
home. Yeah. What's the song? Home.
Let me go
Home.
home. That one or a different one?
Home. Alabama,
I
Arkansas.
do love my mom and pa, not the way that I do love you. Holy moly, me oh my.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
Home is where I'm
I'm
with you. Hey. Okay, what is going on? All right.
This is a singing show.
So what do you think? So to me, then that would be top of the wild card.
Yeah, I keep looking at Red Hook ESB and wondering why it ended up where it ended up.
Should have been
It's got to be
re-ranked.
lower.
We fucked up.
We did, but just that one.
2019.
The rest of them I'm okay with mostly, but
Okay.
so I don't want that one to totally influence what I'm going to do on here.
Okay.
I would put this above Session, below Kona.
Wow.
What are you thinking? Where's your head at, man? Is it in the spokes, huh?
My head, yeah. It's like I'm sitting on a bike with the seat pulled off after what you just did to me. I think that I'm above Liney's O. I'm above Sam Adams Bosnagar. I'm above Liney's O, but I don't know if I'm above Rainier.
Really?
Yeah. And I don't think I'm above Session. I really, really like Session. I like everything above Fat Tire, but Session like blew me away. And so you have this beer at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You have it at 11. Kona's 10. That'd be the 11th best beer. And I have
it
it
42.
slightly lower. I have it at 11, 12, so 13th. Ahead of Liney's O.
So I have it ahead of Rainier and Session, which you don't agree with.
I'd be willing to split the difference.
Move it behind Session.
Yeah, I'll fine. I'll put it ahead of Rainier, but I feel strongly about Session. I can't.
How many times have
I
you
can't
had Session?
back down. How many times have I had this? This beer sucks.
I guess I'm okay with it because I do like Session as well. I think it has a lot of utility, even above and beyond this. Even though this has equal or more ABV, higher ABV than Session. I think Session was
Okay.
5.1. This 5.2.
Yeah, it is similar. They're both like Session is an even simpler beer. This one is
Right.
like as a Belgian style ale it's slightly more complicated, but it's very easy to drink.
And as far as copy corner goes, do you remember all the copy on the Session packaging?
Yeah, it was bad.
Yeah,
And this is
a lot
good,
of
like, all
outlandish
around.
stuff.
And you've been to their brewery. All right. Fine. I'll have it ahead of Session.
Okay.
So it's below Kona. So it would be our 11th favorite beer. Yeah. That's pretty
11th
good.
best beer in the world.
Cool. Well, that's good. It's the 11th best beer in the history of the world. Do you know if there are any as we exit the show, if there's any good like sales or anything at Woodman's?
Well, if you come down here today, you can talk to my great aunt Louise.
The melons don't have
can
to
get-
be round.
Full pallet of milk for $8.95.
What's an apple core?
The Cold Cans podcast is recorded in the Overcast Room at Cloud Studios in Seattle, Washington. Visit cloudstudiosseattle.com